What it do, guys, and welcome back to another video. Now this video is going to be quite lengthy, so go ahead, so forgive me ahead of time. It's going to be a big old video. This is going to be your one stop and shop for all 13 of the Coda Technocyte weapons. All right, so first of all, if you don't know how to go and get these weapons, please go and see this guide up here on screen. Without further ado though, I will go and tell you guys again, lots of timestamps, jump to whatever you want to go and jump to, and I'm going to quit yapping and just get straight into this and try and hit you guys with as much information and showcase all of the weapons. So we're going to start off alphabetically, and we're going to start off with primaries, then secondaries, then melees. So up first, we got the brand new weapon. This has no counterpart in there, so there's no improvements. It's brand new. This is a shotgun called the Coda Bassocyst, or Bassocyst, forgive me. Anyways, what's going to happen is that it's going to end up doing shockwaves. It's going to be similar with the primary fire, that's kind of like arc or plasma, and then it's got a bit of an old fire, which is definitely very interesting. So let's go and start off with the primary fire. I'm just going to go and shoot over here. This is a brand new weapon, so you've seen this for the first time. Now it does have a basically innate punch through going for it, which is also really good. Basically, if I go ahead and shoot, as long as it hits something, it's going to continuously chain and go all the way through there. So I've not modded it for punch through. It's just going to go ahead and do that, which is fantastic. Same could go to kind of go at that cross angle over there as well. See how I hit that enemy. So you've also got that innate kind of infinite punch through going through. As long as it's hitting through bodies, it's going to continuously connect to another body. All right, so that's what the left click is. Now the middle click, or in this case, sorry, the alt fire, is going to be, it's going to shoot out a couple of these like mite swarms. They're going to go and attach them to a few enemies, and then it's going to keep staggering them whilst it's also still proccing whatever elements and so forth you've got on your weapon, impact and magnetic. So if I go ahead and just shoot this a couple of times, my goal is to go ahead and lower their health until there's a bar, there's like a, so hard to explain it. I'm going to try and zoom in so you can go ahead and see it. But basically now, if I go ahead and do this again, an alt fire, I will now mercy kill them instead. But you know that mercy bar that you go ahead, so if I hover over that one, you can see the mercy bars right at the very end on the left. That basically gets built up when I start doing like those impact procs and so forth. So it's going to allow you to go ahead and get a mercy finisher kill towards the builds. So, but that's actually interesting because with the Parazon, this means we can end up synergizing things with it. Number one is I can always refill my magazine. I never ever have to reload with this weapon. I can just mercy kill to reload. Number two, I can always guarantee the health orb, which is actually kind of interesting because equilibrium builds, this is fine. Not only am I getting health, I'm also getting energy from the equilibrium, and I use this in a lot of my builds. If you don't want this one, you can use the energy orb that you can also go ahead and get down here as well. And then finally, I also get a little bit of parkour speed after the mercy as well, which again works really well for me just running and gunning. So as for the build itself over here, let's start with the trait just really quickly again. Whenever I go ahead and mercy kill, I gain 100% damage and 100% multi-shot. Yeah, so mercy kill is actually quite rewarding on this. I get a health orb or whatever I want. I get movement speed. I go ahead and get, you know, all of these extra things. This is great. So because I get the impact and the magnetic, and on top of like the damage that I'm getting from this anyways, galvanized savvy is going to basically be what I'm going for right here. Status is going to be very good on this weapon. You're definitely going to lean towards status. There's nothing wrong with critical and kind of going raw damage, but status is going to look very nice with it. So do try and chuck in galvanized savvy. If you don't have it, you can run prime point blank, and you can also go and run semi-cannonade. Either of those are also fine by all means, but I would probably go off savvy because it scales better. From there onwards, I would go with the multi-shot, the fire rate, and then I'm going to go with viral and heat. Now, if you don't have heat, or it depends on what your valence bonus is going to be, so we'll get to that in a moment, you don't have to go and have this in here. From there onwards, I've just took some criticals just for a little bit more kind of oomph on every shot. That's what I'm looking for. Over here, I've got the galvanized acceleration. This is basically going to increase the projectile length so that it reaches, as I get more and more like kills and so forth, it's going to shoot further and further, which is nice. It's going to help that damage fall off, go ahead and scale a bit better, which is great. And then finally, as for my arcane, I went for the primary crux. It's very easy with a wide spread like this, go and hit weak points, which then gives me status chance, which synergizes with my builds, and then also gives me ammo efficiency. And when I do go and use the alt fire, it will expend around like 4 ammo per shot as well, so keep that in mind. Primary crux works really well here. However though, like I said, you can change the valence fusions up into whatever you want to. If you do go and get an elemental vice, you can change this as you please, so feel free to go and take whatever caters to you. My advice, I would take heat because it's just generically really strong as a standalone element, or I'd probably go for things like electric if you want to go and run the violet arc and shards and go ahead and get extra damage from just shooting the gun. Besides from that, as for the arcanes, there's so many different arcanes you can go and run here. You can run blight, you can run frostbite, vendetta, crux, deadhead, Merciless. You could even consider the other two, like Exhilarate and Obstruct. They could genuinely also work. I wouldn't really do them personally, but they can work within this. It's up to you. The good thing about this weapon is there's so much build diversity. If you want to go pure status, if you want to go pure critical, if you want to go mix and match, it doesn't matter. It's going to delete Steel Path. It's a very, very, very good gun. Thumbs up from me, all right? So I'll go and put a little bit of gameplay up on the screen here so you can see what it's like me just shooting it in mission. Overall though, it's up to you as to which Warframe you want to go and take. I don't think there's anybody in particular I wanted to synergize with. So it's not like I need fire rates, so therefore I'm going to go Gauss. Most of the time, I'd probably consider something like maybe Mirage or something like a Rhino or something with like a Rhino's Roar. And I'm just going to go and amplify the damage a bit more. Just go and chunk down enemies without like really sweating like in any capacity or any form. So it's a really good shotgun, really, really good one. Anyways, I'm gonna bring you guys back here and let's go ahead and jump in towards the next one. So up next we got the Coda Hema. Now the Coda Hema is a counterpart to the Hema, so this is a upgrade towards it. It's going to give you increased fire rate, magazine size, critical chance, critical multiplier, status chance, and damage overall. So this one is going to be looking a lot better in terms of its, again, counterpart. If I go and just shoot it a little bit over here, and most of the time the gimmick is going to be for headshots, so I'm going to be looking for that. Please don't judge the weapon off my first couple of shots. I need to build up my my procs and things, okay? So now you can judge it, whoops, when I go and get that one done, you can judge it more like off these 2 shots that I'm now doing like that. So bam, bam, see? So now it's holding up pretty well. So as for the Hema, due to it having a unique trait of drains life up to 5% of Warframe's health to reload, headshots with this weapon have a 5% chance, have a 5% lifesteal. So because of that, it's going to work really, really well for sustainability related builds. This could go things with Idaros, Nidus, so forth, off you go. That sustainability is going to be really nice. It can also work with things like combat discipline, the mods that when you take damage, so when you kill an enemy, you take damage, but if you combine that with Arcane Avenger, you can also go and get critical chance as well. That can only but buff the critical side of this weapon. So with everything that I'm saying right here, Galvanize up 2 for a little bit of scaling, multi-shot, Shred's going to work really well because I would want some PT on the build as well. It is a single target weapon outside of it. A little bit of Galvanized Scope because we're going to go for the trait here anyways and aim for those headshots, which is where Primary Deadhead also comes in. Again, to synergize, it gives us a headshot multiplier and also gives us flat damage to also add in towards the build as well. Critical delay for a little bit of critical chance and critical damage, and then just a combination of whatever you want in here. Now mine's currently corrosive because the weapon innately comes with viral, so I can get viral, corrosive and heat and go ahead and make it look really, really nice. Now for those who are wondering, yes, there are things like acuity as well, and you can go ahead and run it. I would go ahead and personally argue that after running both of these builds that, as you can see, are extremely similar, I didn't really find that much of a difference between either of these. It's just that multi-shot allowed me to go and get away with some body shots, whereas acuity wasn't allowing me to get away with body shots. I had to be accurate at all times. So it's up to you how you want to go and build it. Terminal velocity is for the projectile side of it, and I think that's basically about it. Oh no, sorry. As for the valence, it's entirely up to you. Again, I would rather go for the heat just because it has viral innate, so heat with viral just goes pretty well. So I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, again, Crux, Deadhead, Blight, Frostbite, they're all other good things to go ahead and run. Now as for the, hopefully I've done all that. Now as for the, I'll put some gameplay up on the screen here. As for the Warframe of choice, I'd probably go and put Gauss on here with Thermal Sunder, and it's supposed because Gauss can go ahead and add blast towards the build. Any single target weapons, if we can go and make them a little bit AoE heavy, then that's not going to be a bad idea. Plus it's fire rate, and that also just pairs naturally really well with Gauss. So Gauss's Thermal Sunder build is probably going to be the one that I'm gonna, sorry, Thermal Transfer build with like a Rhino Roar is what I'm going to be going for. You could also consider someone like Sight 09. Since it has a lot of weak points and it being weak point heavy, you could also go ahead and use Sight as well to synergize with that. Now up next we have the Coda Sporothrix. Again, a counterpart of the Sporothrix, and now it's just even better. Increased damage, reload speed, magazine size, status chance, and even explosion radius. Now explosion radius is the one that I do want. It doesn't matter if it's 0.1 or 0.2 meters more. We want more explosion radius. That's what we're going to be doing. All right. But this one works still just as per usual as we kind of know Sporothrix, but I'll have to go and get the build up on the screen first to go and show you what's kind of going on here. Now I'm going to be going for a pure status related build is what I'm going to be going for. So this basically means I'm going to be focusing heavily on just dealing lots of like dot related damage right there and then, exploding and then controlling the pack of enemies that I'm going to be shooting and fighting against. The semi-rifle cannonade with the 240% damage but a 1.5 punch through, so that's going to be kind of nice. That also synergizes with the punch through that I am going to be getting from his augment. Now I will go and say to you guys, if you don't have his augment, I would consider to go ahead and get his augment. It's a game changer. Not only does it give it punch through, but the barbs that you go and shoot actually explode on impact rather than shoot, wait, then it explodes. So this is really good. Enemies, barbs that strike enemies have a 4-meter radius as well on top of it, so the explosion is even better, and it also got a 50% status chance, so it's even stronger now than what it was previously, besides the fact that you can't get a decent rolled rivet on this one. So from there onwards, I just basically want a little bit of dots, so I'm going to go ahead and go for the heat combination over here with the cold for a blast, because we're going to go for some AoE. I'm going to end this in toxin because I do want to go increase, I might as well just go ahead and take it on the valence fusion. So this is what my valence fusion is sitting on right now, is the toxin. Sorry, it's sitting on the toxin right now because that's going to synergize just with what I'm going for. Then I'm going to go for rifle elementalist, which also gives me punch through, so a lot of punch through on the weapon, maybe a little bit too much, but I can't complain because I want to hit as many people as possible. And then the status damage to go ahead and increase things like blast and toxin to do even more damage. Because I'm doing that, I will be going and running the faction mod over here as well, so I can go ahead and make it do even more damage. When those dots are damaging, they basically get applied faction mod twice. And then I want to go ahead and increase the radius. I won't lie to you, this one's not needed. The reason why I have it is because I'm killing everything without this, and I don't need an extra damage mod. So therefore I go and run primary crux because I'm going to be hitting a lot of weak points. Ammo efficiency is going to be good, more status chance is also going to be good, and a little bit of terminal velocity. Let me go and shoot the weapon really quickly so you guys can go and see what it kind of looks like right now. And again, just keep in mind, I need to go and build things up as I go ahead and shoot it. So this might take a little bit of time, so bear with me. And then once it is built up, this is what it's gonna go ahead and look like. So instead of it just being a straight single target, I'm gonna try and use that blast to my advantage. It's gonna have lots of dots, lots of procs, and then it's gonna be able to go ahead and kind of AoE clear for me. So something like that. Get the idea? Where I can go ahead and delete them. More enemies that are put on top of one another, hopefully gonna blast, give me more kind of blast procs I can go ahead and kill. But you see these ones on the outside take a little bit more so for like single targets. So in terms of like overall crowd clearing and dispersion, this weapon's gonna be really really good. Now, other things that you can go ahead and pair with it as well, in terms of arcanes, you can go ahead and use things like Crux, Deadhead, Blight, or Frostbite. It's entirely up to you. As for the Valence, I've already mentioned, you can go ahead and go for the Toxin one. Now, if you do want to go for other things, you can go for Heat, you can go for the Electric because of the Violets, or you can go for Cold as well because of the Frostbite. So it's really kind of up to you how you want to go ahead and do this. But for me, I'm going Crux. As for the Warframe that I'm going to synergize this with, I think Saren with Toxic Lash is going to be too good. So I'll go get some Saren Toxic Lash gameplay up on here. She's going to enhance it a little bit more because not only have got Toxic Lash on my build, I've also got the Roar on my build, which is going to be great because that's going to help us deal way more damage, which is exactly what we're looking for. So yeah, overall, this weapon absolutely slaps. It turns like snipers from that like really heavy single target to a mass kind of AoE clearer, which is fantastic. Now, we'll go and just quickly say here, but I'm not going to spend too long on it. You can go ahead and take this with Harrow, and if you do go and take it with Harrow, Harrow's 4th ability, Covenant, basically gives him critical chance on headshot, but it's absolute, so it's additive to base. So if I have 5% on the weapon, he's going to give me 200%, so it's going to be 205%. So basically, if you want to go and take it critical, there's only 2 Warframes that are really going to help you kind of do this. Number 1 is Harrow with a Covenant, a Darza Kavat, and a Arcane Avenger, and he also helps buff fire rate, so you get lots of shots off and lots of critical. And the second thing you can go for is going to be Sephiroth with his augment, Shadow Haze, can also go ahead and scale off again that additive critical chance towards the build, but he also gives you damage vulnerability. So he doesn't give you fire rate because that's what Harrow gives you, but it gives you damage vulnerability, which is he hits harder in one shot, whereas Harrow can have multiple shots going off in quick succession. So you can go ahead and consider those by all means. I don't have those builds up for you right now because we got a lot to rattle off, so hopefully you guys can understand that. But yes, the Sporothrix is looking really nice. Now to go ahead and round off and go ahead and finish all of the primary weapons is the Coda Synapse beam, which is let's go get the build up on the screen. So the beam itself is going to go ahead, oh sorry, the improvements towards it is going to be improved magazine size, beam length, status chance, punch through, and damage. All right, so it's going to be better than the normal Synapse counterpart. Now if you guys ever used Synapse in the past, you guys would know as much as what I do, Synapse is always a good weapon in Warframe, so you can't really complain about that lovely stuff. However, that being said, Synapse is still a single target beam, so I'm going to cater my build to try and add a little bit of that AoE, bring a little bit of that ad clearing back towards the build to try and really help it out. So let's go and start with the unique trait. If you go and deal damage towards headshots, you get an extra 20%. So ideally, again, try and go ahead and get the most out of your weapon by dealing headshots. From there onwards though, I would go ahead and consider, yes, a bit of a blast build is where I'd be going for. Go ahead and add a little bit of AoE towards this. I could do blast with toxin, and with the toxin, which is going to be my phalanx override over here, my bonus phalanx up here, I'm going to go ahead and use primary blight. Primary blight also gives us critical damage, but also gives us multi-shot for whenever we're doing toxin status effects. So this is also going to work and synergize really, really well with the fact that we're doing some dots and some procs all over the place. Now, because we're doing dots and procs, like I always going to say, you want to go and throw in things like Rifle Elementalist for the status damage, and if you can outsource things like faction mods, so things like Rhino's Roar or stuff like that, then this is also going to synergize really, really well to what you are doing to go ahead and make effectively those dots deal double the damage within themselves, which is really, really good. Besides from that, it's a pretty much standardized setup at this point. So damage, multi-shot, a little bit of fire rate, a little bit of PT, can't really complain about that, and some criticals over there. This is going to be best in slot that you want to go and chuck over here to go and increase your beam length, which is also going to be very nice. So I'll go ahead and just shoot the weapon a little bit over here so you guys get a rough idea of what this looks like, and then I'll go and give you guys some gameplay for the Coda Synapse. Whoa, I'm not even pressing the button. I don't know what happened there. So again, give it a little bit of time to go ahead and build on up, and then as it builds up, I'll try to go and make sure I get the headshot there and get the increased damage. And then here we go. Right, so if I go ahead and just shoot straight on the middle here, that's roughly what you're looking at. So you can see how it's a bit of a single target, but then if I can go ahead and get quite a few ads on top of it, I get that big explosion, which is a great way to go ahead and kill multiple targets in just one quick go. So I will go and get some gameplay up on the screen right now. I think with this one as well, I would probably go and take anything that has Roar. So honestly, any Warframe that you want to, but Roar is going to be very, very nice here to go and synergize with it. You could go and take Saren's Toxic Lash with Roar if you wanted to, because I think the Toxic Lash is going to synergize with that primary blight that you're doing, and that's also going to go and scale off the Elementalist. So lots of damage, lots of easy ad clear now to a weapon that was more centered around it being single target. Okay, so let's go bring you guys back really quickly. That is all of the primary weapons. Let's go ahead and crack straight into the secondaries. So starting off the secondaries, we have the Coda Catabolyst. If I say any of the names wrong, just forgive me. This is a counterpart to the Catabolyst that exists inside the game, and it's going to have things, instead of it throwing one grenade out though, it's now going to throw 3 grenades out, which is definitely a lot better in terms of trying to hit more targets. So in terms of getting more fun out of the reload, you can do with this. But that being said though, it also has higher status chance, damage, and magazine size. Now when it actually comes towards the weapon itself, I'm just going to throw like a traditional build up here. This weapon, just with its beam alone, absolutely slaps. It was always a good weapon prior to it getting the augment. It's just that the augment is a bit more of a weirder playstyle to go ahead and do. So if you don't have the augment, this is roughly what your build's going to look like here. But the unique trait, like I said, it throws a corrosive grenade, and then that is going to also be larger as well. Not only is there going to be more of them, but it's also going to be larger. So again, general kind of builds here, a little bit of scaling damage, a little bit of multi-shot over here, a little bit of fire rate with multi-shot. Now I am going to go and make sure I have the faction with the increased damage, so all of this is going to help my dots do even more damage going on down here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the viral combination, and then I'm going to go ahead and steer heavily into heat as well. All right, this also means that my phalanx overrides for my phalanx bonus is also going to go ahead and be heat, because I'm going to run Cascadia Flare. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go ahead and just run this one, but Cascadia Flare synergizes really well because it says on heat status effect, there's a 12% damage increase for 10 seconds, which stacks up to 480. Just want to go show you what this really looks like, though, because Flare is a really, really good just base arcanes going through on your builds. So this is what it looks like, just kind of normal right now as I go and build it all up. Oh, that's what it is. I would, and I'm just going to throw the grenade away real quickly. I would go ahead and consider some punch through on the weapon though. I just realized I don't have punch through on mine, but if I just let go, see the damage ticks that it's doing there, let go. So just shoot, let go. Get the idea? Shoot, let go. It's oh sorry, I want the headshot bonus, but shoot, let go. Shoot, let go. Get the idea. Lots of damage that's going off there. Then if I go and reloads, I'll go and throw those grenades out there. But again, I'm not really going for like the grenade build on this one per se. I will go and say on this side, this build though, because this is the general build, I'm going to go show you the grenade one really quickly in a second. On this one though, the other things that you can go ahead and consider running for the arcanes are Flare, Innovate, Encumber, and Voltage. Now you can also go ahead and use Arcane Fortify if you want to, but all of these other arcanes, Innovate's going to give you more of a critical build, Encumber is going to be lots of statuses going on, Voltage is going to go ahead and give you multi-shot and a little bit of reload, which actually kind of synergizes with you dumping the magazine and getting a quicker reload for it, so that's going to be really nice. As for the Valence, I'd probably go for Heat or Electric, to go ahead and get Flare or Voltage is what I would probably go for. But I'm going to go and show you this build here really quickly. This is going to be for more of the augment. Now the augment basically just means whenever I do go ahead and throw the grenade out, I get increased critical chance and critical damage by 30% up to 300% on both of those, and it reduces it by 30% whenever fewer enemies by 3 or more are struck by the grenade explosion. So if you go and pair this with Warframe like Sephi, what she goes ahead and does, she uses her second ability and then she go group enemies, and she has an augment that also increases damage for you grouping enemies. Therefore, it's not really, you're not going to miss basically, which is fantastic. Things like Synth Charge as well gives you bonus damage on the final shot, which is basically the grenades. And then from there onwards, I just have a ribbon on this one, which is Fire Rate, because I want to dump the magazine nice and quick, and I get a little bit of critical damage towards it and a little bit of reloads. This one's so heavily synergized with this one. I will fastly put up my Sephi build here. I am not going to go ahead and go over it, but I'm sure there might be some people who are wondering about what this looks like. But this is why it synergizes really well. Each enemy hit by airburst increases secondary damage by 40% for 14 seconds. Synergizes. Jet Stream also, because it's a projectile, I can throw it out way quicker, so therefore I'm not going to miss with it. And then finally finally her passive, whenever I'm airborne, I get 150% extra critical hit up there as well. So chance, sorry. So this just naturally synergizes really well with the weapon. All right, so if that's what you are if that's what you're looking for, you can go ahead and use it. Now I'm going to put some gameplay up on the screen really quickly, which is just going to be, actually I'll put the Sephi build up on the screen just because it's a little bit more unique. And you can kind of see what it looks like here. I'm just basically grouping up enemies, and I'm just basically throwing a grenade out to go and kill them. It's an interesting gimmick, but again, like how you said, you don't have to go ahead and run it like this. You can just use the normal beam if you want to, and you'll go ahead and get lots of damage, but that's not anything special. So it's up to you how you want to go and mod it. But anyways, we're gonna go bring you guys back here, because we still got a lot to go over. So up next, we have got the Coda Pox. Now, the Coda Pox is an improvement of the Pox that exists inside the game. It's going to have increased magazine size, critical chance, critical multiplier, status chance, and status and damage overall. Now, the Pox itself, as we go and see here, something I need to go and say about this one is it doesn't have a unique towards it, but what it does have is that it has gas clouds, and it's all about basically dealing kind of gas clouds. But I want you guys to understand that the gun condition overloads, so when we say gun condition overload, we're talking about this mod here, this doesn't scale the damage of the clouds. So when the clouds are ticking and hitting, this actually doesn't scale that damage. What it does scale is direct hits. So if I'm throwing and I'm planning to hit the enemy all of the time, run this. If you're throwing but you're just creating clouds and you don't care, run this. See the difference? This is more like on target, on hit. This is more like I don't really care. I don't care about aiming. I'm just gonna throw it on the ground and hopefully let the clouds just go ahead and deal with the rest. All right. From there onwards, multi-shots, fulmination, because again I'm going to be focusing on that kind of cloud, that dot heavy, and because it's going to be dot heavy as well, this is where this is going to go ahead and come in. Gas, electric, heat, slash, all of those kind of dots are going to end up dealing more. On mine, I'm going to be rocking viral and heat, so again I don't typically need to go and end it in this, since I'm going to be running the Valence Override for heat here. Again, really good standalone element, and viral will synergize really nicely with that. So on top of that, and because I'm ending it with heat, I can run Cascadia Flare. That just gives me more damage. Now here's the thing with the Coda Pox, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys right now. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. All right, I'm just going to be 100% honest about it. So I'm gonna go through it a couple of times and just try and build it up really quickly. The good part about it is at least it has way more overall kind of damage now. And if I just throw it at the ground here, you'll get like a rough idea as to how it's kind of working. So this is why I don't care about the condition overloads, gun condition overloads. I just want to kind of throw it on the ground and let them kind of dot and burn is what I'm looking for. All right, lots of 10 stacks of the viral really quickly, and then just lots of stacking heat on top of heat, which then basically just burns them alive. Furthermore, the way that that cloud basically works is if I go and throw it here, can you look at the elements? See how the elements are building up on their own now? So without me even hitting, you can see it's now got 10 heat stacks and 5. If I go and throw it over here again, it started off with 2 heat stacks and 2 viral, and it's going to end at 11 heat stacks and 9 viral. So the clouds are not actually that bad. They'll go ahead and build up all of the statuses and so forth kind of on their own, which is why I prefer just try to get a little bit more raw damage from that as well. All right, now as for the rest of the build up here, I would go ahead and consider faction mods are going to work really well, but if you can, always try and outsource that to Rhino's Raw. So I would pair it with someone who's got Rhino's Raw. As for the other arcanes, things like Flare, Innovate, Encumber, and Voltage. All of those are also going to go ahead and work. It's entirely up to you which ones you want to go and use, but I'm just going to let you know there are builds that do go ahead and consist of these arcanes and can go ahead and work just as well as what the Flare build does. Now, as for the Valence, like I said, I would say there's mostly 2 that I would lean towards. I'd go for the Heat or I'd go for the Toxin, unless you want to go for the Voltage and you want to go ahead and go for the Voltage arcane over here. You can end it in Electric and then increase the Voltage arcane if you want to. Besides from that, as for, let's go and get some gameplay up on the screen here. As for some Warframes that I would go ahead and use this with, ideally, I think grouping is going to work really well. So once again, Ceph is going to pair very, very well with this. Grouping enemies up and then just kind of like dotting them and gas clouding them down. So in some areas I want to group, in other areas I don't really want to group. It's up to me, but I think grouping synergizes really, really well with the weapon. On top of that, Nidus's Lava can also work really well, so it won't be a bad weapon to consider running with Nidus. So let's go bring you guys back here as well. Let's go ahead and jump in towards the next weapon, which is going to be the Coda Tysis over here. Coda Tysis. Now the Coda Tysis is a counterpart and an improved version of the Tysis that exists within the game already. Okay, now it's going to give you increased damage, increased critical chance, critical multiplier, and magazine capacity. Now for those who don't know, yes, it doesn't also have a unique, but it does have a needle that it does go and do, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about the needle just in a momento. Now as for itself, when you are shooting it though, it is a little bit more kind of single target heavy, so that means I want to really lean in towards like single target purposes. And because it's not very high in the critical chance, I still wanted to go ahead and do a fair bit of damage on direct impact hit. That's what I would like to go and do. So therefore I start off with secondary Innovate. On hit, increase critical chance by 10%, and this resets after 6 big critical hits. So this is going to allow me to go ahead and just scale the weapon and go ahead and get some nice oranges and so forth out of it, and go ahead and just see some overall nice damage. So because this is now going to scale my critical chance, and because I'm going to be running things like fire rate on the weapon as well, therefore I'm going to be doing lots and lots of shots quite quickly, I can then go ahead and then synergize with some things like critical damage from Magnetic Might, plus the Magnetic, remember that in a second, but the critical damage from here. I can also go and take Punch Through on this, which is going to be really good because again, it's a single target weapon, so Punch Through is going to be really, really nice, but I also get critical damage on Mercer's Gunflight. I also get critical damage from Primed Target Cracker to really bump up that critical side so that each shot that I'm doing has more oomph behind it. Then from there onwards, I'm going to be going for the combination of Viral, and I'm going to be ending mine again with the whole, I'm going to be ending mine with the Heat. So mine will be on Heat. Right now it's Impact, but I'm going to show you something really quickly because otherwise it might have been confusing. So I'm going to go and take this and just show you how the needle works to help you guys understand what's going on there. So yes, it has a needle, and let me go and show you what this looks like. I currently have Punch Through on the mods, right? But it doesn't, the weapon doesn't come with Punch Through. So if I go ahead and shoot this into the body, what you'll go and notice is that's it. I shot it, right? It proc the corrosive proc, but that was it. If I go and shoot it again and then move to the sides, can you see that explosion? The needle has gone all the way through. That's important because the needle actually does dots, but because I'm only shooting one target, it's penetrating the target and keep going. So what if I shoot one target and it hits 2? So in this case, I'm going to go and shoot there, and you'll see how it's taken dot. Not only does it take dot, similar to the pox earlier with the clouds, it's also going to go ahead and proc an element with the status chance on said dot. So if you do want to see again here, it took an impact proc and it didn't proc, unfortunately. I shoot here, impact proc and a corrosive proc. So you can go and get a little bit more out of the needle if you do go and run some punch through, but make sure it lands in towards another enemy there. If you end up shooting just one, it's just going to disappear. But I would go ahead and run the heat in here because, again, as a standalone element, I think heat is absolutely fantastic with what I'm doing. And look at all of these elements I've got going over there. And again, the galvanized shot is going to go and scale lovely on direct here. For those who don't know, though, do go and keep in mind the needle of Tysis. It's only like 50% as effective with the dots that it's doing with galvanized. It doesn't get the full effectiveness of it. It's weird, but that doesn't matter because ideally I just basically want to shoot into enemies like so, build everything up. So just let me build it up really quickly, and then I'm just going to look and shoot like this. So it gives it a lot of good damage to kind of work with it, which is nice. A lot of critical damage, a lot of punch through. This was a weapon that was just pure straight up single target. Lovely stuff. So I'm going to go put some gameplay up on the screen here really quickly. And as you can go and see, we have got the Tysis being used by Gauss's thermal transfer. And I just think this works really, really well with it because, again, thermal transfer, not only does it pair well with fire rate related things because it's Gauss, so with redline, but on top of that, thermal transfer can go and give me blast. So now I can go and turn this single target into more of an AoE kind of room clearer. So that's probably where I would pair it, is with Gauss if I was looking for a Warframe synergy. Besides from that, anything with Raw as well, because I want to go and get that faction mod to go and do more damage with all of the elements that are currently ticking. So I'm going to bring you guys back here as well, and we're on the last one, as a brand new weapon at that, but we're on the last one of the secondaries. It's the Coda Torxica, okay? So this one is completely brand new inside the game. There is no counterpart, so there's no improvement stats, but what's going to happen here is that its uniqueness is whenever you go and kill an enemy, it's going to go and spread free cold procs towards nearby enemies, all right? So those free spores, sorry, are going to go out and search, and then they're going to start proccing cold procs on there. Now, if those enemies are affected by that, they then also take a damage vulnerability from the Coda, which is absolutely fantastic. So this is the build that I'm currently running, but I do have two builds. So not only, again, is the unique trait good for the cold status, because cold status can also increase critical damage towards it. If they end up taking like 9 stacks of colds, they can take 50% more increased critical damage. But if I can go and get 10 stacks of cold on them and like fully freeze them, then that increases to a 1 times multiplier, so 100% critical damage, which is really, really good. But cold also debuffs enemies by lowering their fire rate, movement speed, and attack speed. So overall, it going cold right now is only but doing us a massive debuff favor. This is fantastic. I'm a big, big fan of this. Now, it has an extremely high magazine over here, clocking in at 160 inside the magazine. So this thing feels like if you evolve dual Toxicist with the Incarnate mode and then just start running and gunning and shooting enemies down, it feels really, really good with that. I would go and argue though that you do need some punch through on the weapon, whatever build you're going for. So for my one on this one, I'm going to be going Seeker, but I do use Merciless Gunfly on my Innovate. So Puncture is going to be really good. And then on this build in particular, it's going to be an encumber one, which basically means on status effect, there's a 24% chance to trigger a random second status effect. So I'm going to be doing lots of different status effects with this one. And if I get Blast in there as well, it's also going to help the overall AoE clearing off of it. So Elementalist is going to be really good to go ahead and chuck in on here because, again, it's a lot of different statuses. So I can end up proccing all of those dots that I've got in there. So Slash can proc, Heat can proc, Electric, Toxic Blast, and Gas can all go ahead and proc with this. And there's lots of fire rate with the build with a huge high magazine that's going to benefit off of it. Because I'm running Encumber, Galvanized Shot is going to scale quite nicely off of it with some more multi-shot here, some punch through down there, and then I'm going to go for the viral over here with the heat at the end. So my balance down here is going to go ahead and be heat as a standalone. As for the ammo, as for the Exilus, I would go and consider ammo in here. Now, if I go ahead and just shoot this a little bit just rapidly right now, hopefully you guys can see what this looks like. So as you can see, look at all those different elements that are proccing up there. Now, obviously, again, let me go and build up my galvanized aptitudes. And then see that spreads? This is the passive proc spread over there. And as you can see, look at that. I've also got some viral proc. And this one's also, again, scaled up with the other elements as well. So I'm going to go and let that spread. I'm going to go and let that spread. That's going to spread. That's going to spread. And then I can go ahead and get a bit more. And then ideally, like, again, because enemies wouldn't always be filtered out like that. But now I do want a Rhino's Roar at this point to go ahead and get even more damage from the builds, because again, I'm doing lots of dots, so you will see way more damage here. But you can go ahead and run something like this where it's got a whole bunch of spreading, dotting, and procking. Again, you'll see it way better when I use it on someone like Gauss or someone who's got Rhino's Roar. Oh my goodness, it melts. Okay, it absolutely melts. But the second build you can also go and go for is the Innovate build, which is kind of similar to what I was doing with the first couple of mods. But then again, you'll notice that I've got the critical damage here. I've got the Puncture here with also critical damage here as well, and then I'm using the secondary Innovate to go ahead and get a whole bunch of increased critical damage from the weapon. This one's going to be a little bit more kind of therapeutically nice on the eyes, because of the fact that we're going to be getting some nice looking numbers in a moment. So you can also go ahead and run this one. Lovely stuff. As you can see, this one is way better for that single target kind of shot there. So again, if I was to run this one with Gauss, I would also go ahead and get a really good builds. But either way, both of them work really well, because I've run both of them with my Gauss setup and it absolutely demolishes enemies. So speaking of Gauss, let's go ahead and get him up on the screen. All right. Before I do, as for the arcanes that you want to go ahead and run on here, you can run any of Flare, Encumber, Innovate, Voltage, and if you really wanted to, you can run Fortifier. Okay, so let's go and get the Gauss gameplay up on the screen here. Fumble transfer gameplay, as you can see, just absolutely blitzing and melting down enemies. It's just going to be really easy to go ahead and just deal with anything that's like in front of you, and ad clearing has never been easier. Never been easier. If you do go for the Encumber build, it's not that good against Acolytes, but if you go for the Innovate build, it is way better against Acolytes. All right, besides from that, just go and whack a Rhino's Roar on if you are going to be doing the Encumber build, but it's entirely up to you. All right, now down here we're going to begin all of the weapons. Oh wow, okay, so we're going to be starting off with the oh no, it's because it's favorited. Sorry, let's go and start it off with it. Okay, it's favorited. I've lost the alphabetical order, but we're going to be starting off with the melee weapons. So we'll be starting off very strong with the Coda Mire. Now the Coda Mire is a already existing variant, or a better variant of the Mire that exists inside the game. It's going to go and give itself increased critical multiplier, critical chance, status chance, all of that good stuff is what's going to be happening here. Now the thing is though, when it comes towards the unique trait of Mire, just similar to like how Mire works, slam attacks apply a toxin status effect. I don't think you guys realize just how good this is right now. Like, I mean really good. I mean to the point that I'm probably gonna have to make a second video on its own. I can get this build to hit as a cumulative in ticks currently around 2 bill in like just ticks. I could probably go and get it to reach 3 bill. I know the damage cap of Warframe is 2.1 bill, but that's what I'm trying to tell you. This might require a build video of its own. If you're interested in that, please let me know, because I want to go and show you how all of this really does go ahead and come together. But I'm basically going to be pairing this with Saren as well on top of it. Ideally though, I want to go ahead and get more overall damage out of it. If you didn't want to, you can go and just do flat here with prime pressure point, that's fine. Then we can go for the seismic wave, which gives us melee slam damage, which is multiplicative towards base damage or just damage in general. Then I'm going to go for the faction mod with some status damage over here. This is going to make sure that these toxin ticks are doing a lot of damage. Down here, since I'm going to be going for heavy slam attack, which lifts and suspends enemies, right? Keep in mind that's very important. This is also going to go and build up our combo counter, thus making the next attack that we do more damage as our combo counter is being built up and going and hit enemies. So from now onwards, this is toxin, which is an augment that also gives it with you, but also does viral explosion, restores energy, and also gives you movement speed, which also synergizes with the movement speed I get from here on heavy attack. But this is also toxin. The reason why this is very important is because toxin as a status scales off a few different things. It scales off the modded damage by half. And then it scales off things like toxin, faction, and status damage. So because it scales off toxin mods, toxin's very important to modify for and to encourage and buff whenever you're using a toxin build. So from now onwards though, because I'm lifting and suspending enemies, this is where melee afflictions comes in. So basically whenever they're like knocked up, rugged down, or like flung or whatever, you can go ahead and apply more procs towards the build. So let me go and just show you what this looks like really quickly, and I'm not really amplifying it, so keep this in mind. So ideally, some people would just be doing normal damage like that. That's just a normal slam attack. What I want to be doing is this, where they're going to bleed and then do this. Oh, sorry, they're going to dot and do that. And then that's 1.6 mils. Now that I've got it built up with the combo counter inside the bottom right, I'm now going to go and do this. They're all dead. when I tell you I can do, so the highest that I saw was like 247 million in one tick. Keep in mind those ticks do ×6. So 247 million multiplied by 6, you do the math. It's over 1 billion damage. So yes, it's on the build that I go ahead and run. I pair it with the Sarin. And no, you're not getting it for this video. All right, so that's basically what's going to be going on there, and that's how that comes together. So, but I'll go ahead and give you some gameplay of it up on the screen so you can go and see what this looks like. This is basically the only build that I really recommend with the Mire, so there's not an awful lot of alternatives here, so go ahead and keep that in mind. But as for the build itself, again, Sarin's going to amplify it. Toxic Lash and Raw is only but going to go and add even more damage to this. In fact, there's so much damage that I can't even see what the status ticks are actually doing, because I would need to ramp up enemy levels significantly. As in, I was going against EDA enemies that are level 400 and they were still being one shot before I could even see the ticks. And I am building 4 ticks. So that isn't good, right? That shows you how strong this weapon's going to be. So I can't even see the actual tick damage that I'm doing. But just got to let you know, it's a lot. It's an awful lot. Let's go bring you guys back over here. Let's go and jump in towards the next weapon. Now, I will go and say for all of the melee weapons, because it needs to be said, all melee weapons can go ahead and scale off melee influence. I'm going to continuously say that as I move on to each weapon. Up next, we got the Coda Caustacyst. All right, so the Coda Caustacyst is going to be an improvement of the Caustacyst that already exists inside the game. It's going to go ahead and give it increased damage, status chance, and critical damage, as well as acid pulls with longer duration. So that's also what's going to be happening there. Right, so now that we got the weapon up on the screen, I had to take some water there. Now that we got the weapon up on the screen, you can do one of 2 particular builds here. You can run a melee influence build, which could be something like this. You can go and put in range, you can go and put in critical, whatever you want to go and do, but this is a standard traditional melee influence build, all right? I'm not going to go over it too much because if you've seen multiple of my videos, right now we're in a very heavy melee influence meta. The idea though, just really quickly, is you want electric to be your main element on the weapon, and then you basically want to go and spread other elements to do more damage. The reason why I like Caustacyst with it though is because on my one, normally I go for like gas and so forth, but because it can also spread corrosive innately, then I can also go ahead and have viral on it with electric. So it's going to be a pure electric melee influence setup, which I'll go ahead and just hit a couple times and show you what that looks like. Let's go over here. Let's go and hit an enemy really quick. Now I just need the electric to go ahead and proc. And obviously RNG. Oh my god, RNG. As I build up weapon wounds, it gets easier anyways. So anyways, it's just a standardized tradition. Once it does proc, it takes over, all right, which is great. So I get viral and corrosive, which only just amplifies everything that I've got going on them. It's not really what I could go and do. I could go and do blast. I could go and do whatever I want to go ahead and do there. But also for those who are wondering, the acid pool, the unique mechanic, if I go and do this here, you see what that looks like. Yes, that also does proc melee influence as well. As such, I don't know if it will do or if it should do from here onwards, but currently it does, all right? Excuse me. Now, because it's a scythe, scythes are really good, and scythes are also really good because every time you heavy attack with a scythe, you get guaranteed slash procs. So guaranteed slash procs allow us to go ahead and do a very just heavy unique build. So if you want to go and say, hey, I don't want to do an influence build, Clark, you don't have to. Here's your heavy unique builds. Again, corrosive is also going to be synergizing with it, but melee afflictions is also going to be synergizing with it. So this is going to be pure heavy attack. Okay, so I'm just looking to just absolutely ramping them down with just heavy attacks as a whole. All right, so let me go and show you what this looks like really quickly. And again, because I've got afflictions on here, and because I've got guaranteed slash, it also has guaranteed knockdown. So if I go ahead and do this, you can go and see all of those elements already stacked onto them right there. So again, I can go and build that up, and obviously there's puddles going around, so I kind of want to hit multiple of them. Ideally on this build here, I wouldn't go with electric, I would go with heat to synergize with it, but you can see how this is just, I mean, this is handling them with absolute ease, you know, like absolute ease. It's more of just a heavy attack build where I'm just constantly heavy attacking. But on the first one, for the Valence Fusion, I would go for electric. On the second one, I would go for heat. So if you have an elemental vice, you can switch it as you damn well please. Again, I'll go and put some gameplay up on the screen. My Warframe of choice here would be Clavo. I mean, ideally, it depends on what you're doing. If you're gonna go for influence, then I probably would have put some Vault gameplay up on here, and you can see what this looks like. But if you want to go for just raw overall damage, then I'll go and put Caliver up on the screen. I don't know which one I put up right now. I'll let editor me decide. But yes, that is basically what's going to go and happen. Lots of damage, lovely jubbly, can't go wrong. Let's go and bring you guys out right now. I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. Mostly just one take, like I'm exhausted. Up next is the Coda Hirudo, which is again a counterpart to the Hirudo that exists inside the game. So this is a much better version of it. It gives you more damage, status chance, critical chance, and critical multiplier. Now, I did go ahead and try to do something a little bit different here. I will go ahead and continue to echo throughout all of the melee weapons. You can go melee influence on all of them if you really want to. That being said, though, I want to try and open things up for you guys because I only feel like it's fair that I give you guys different routes to go and take. Melee influence is a one-shot build. You can do it on all of them. Off you go. But let's go and give you guys something different. So I actually wanted to go with the melee vortex over here because this is such a short-ranged weapon. Melee vortex is going to end up pulling enemies in for us. We can go and do some kind of nice things with this. But the gimmick and the uniqueness of Coda Hirudo is that critical hits of a 5% lifesteal and increase maximum health by 5% for 15 seconds, which stacks up to 25%. This is going to work really, really well with Warframes that want sustainability. So for example, if you've got lots of health in a Nidus, just as two examples right there. So that's going to work really, really well with them. But the reason why I ended up doing this as well, again, is because it's going to be something a little bit different. So a little bit of scaling damage on this one because there's lots of elements there. So this is going to proc lovely within itself. Again, we want to go and get a bit of reach because that's always quality of life. So I'm going for the viral over here, which is going to be nice. And yes, I do also end it in my heat standalone right now. A little bit of armor strip, a little bit of crowd control and so forth. Good stuff. A little bit of scaling on the criticals over here. We got scaling critical chance, and then also got scaling critical damage. Now it does also give me flat critical chance, but for the most part, scaling critical damage at the bottom there. And now weeping wounds is going to be very, very important for what I'm doing as well. Okay, so then this is where this comes in, magnetic rush. The base attack speed of this is actually pretty good. It's 1 on the dot. This is going to give you an extra 20%, so that's a 1.2. So overall, let's go and show you guys what this looks like really quickly as I go and hit some enemies here. Here we go. I was going to hit some enemies here. Bear with me whilst I build it up. So again, when I build things up, please don't expect an awful lot of it. And then when I do go ahead and kill, if I stand here and just bring a couple away. So we're going to let's try and kill this front line and then watch Vortex proc. See how Vortex just clumps them up like that? And when it does, I can Tenakai, and then I can just kind of kill them with Tenakai like this. So I get a free Tenakai here. Okay, only that person survived right up there. But you can see how like that all comes together. I can pull enemies in and all of this good stuff. Now, the other things you could go ahead and do in terms of arcanes is that you can go and run things like melee exposure, which also works. It just gives you extra corrosive damage towards the builds. Besides from that, I was going to put some gameplay up on the screen. I would probably go ahead and use this with someone like Caliver though, if I wanted to go and get more out of the weapon. Because you see, Caliver is going to go ahead and add a whole bunch of critical, which adds a whole bunch of just overall raw damage towards the weapon. So that's going to be really nice. But otherwise, outside of Caliver though, you could just go ahead and run things like Inaros and Nidus to go and help their survivability. So it's up to you if you want to go ahead and do it that way and just get some more health towards your builds. I'll go and bring you guys back here really quickly though. I just go and say really quick as well. As for the other Valence fusion, because I didn't actually finish that part up, was you don't have to go just heat here. If you wanted to and you want to go for melee vortex, you could end it in magnetic. It's just that this magnetic mod is kind of doing the same thing anyways, right? And it's also giving me attack speed. So I just felt like this was just better to end it in, but you can end it in magnetic. Okay, up next we have got the Coda, I believe it's the Motovore right now. So we're on the second to last one right now, the Coda Motovore. So the Coda Motovore is a brand new weapon towards Warframe, and this one is quite a doozy because it's a few different things. First of all, the aesthetic of it looks really, really cool. It's a motorcycle wheel right there, and that motorcycle wheel can actually change what's going on around the wheel depending on the element, the physical element that you are using on your build and what has highest status weighting. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys this one really quickly right now. My advice, I would just melee influence on it. That's my advice. That's going to be boring though, right? Because you're going to be like, Clark, come on, man, you're better than that. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm here for. But please don't expect too much. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is, because of its unique trait, it receives 6x physical damage from mods and a different bonus based on the prevalent physical damage type. So if you go for impact, you get a 40% attack speed. Puncture has a 1.5 meter increase, and slash has a 100% status increase. So go, here is a slash build. If I go and hover down there, that is now 540%. As in, if you go and take slash mods as a whole, so if I go ahead and take this one here, for example, 720%, this is going to really amplify your slash on the weapon. Now, for the slash build, all I really need it to go and do is just make sure it's ever so slightly higher over the other ones, right? And the way that I go and do that is by hovering over status, and as you can go see there, is slash higher over the other ones? Yes, it is by quite a fair bit. Okay, cool. That basically means whenever I go and proc a status proc, there is a chance that it's going to be more slash than it is anything else. Okay, excellent. Now, unfortunately, as for the Phalanx of fusion here, I can't really change it to slash. I don't really have that option. The only one that I do have is the impact. So for this build in particular, what I would go ahead and do for slash, I would actually go and take cold. And the reason why I would go and take cold here is because cold also helps the critical damage size of things, in which slash itself also scales off the critical damage side of things. So it's kind of like a, you know, double whammy type thing. From there onwards, I'm going to take some scaling damage, a little bit of reach, a little bit of quickening to go ahead and help me build up for attack speed, but to go and build up my combo count chance to help me go and get weeping wounds, which is status increase, blood rush, which is critical increase, a little bit of critical damage scaling, a little bit of status to go ahead and help the so status damage go and help the slash go and do more damage. And again, if you have a faction mod, or if you want to go and outsource it to Rhino's Roar, you can also go ahead and do that as well. All right, and then this one down here is going to help the weight in general, but status chance on this, status chance on this, status chance on this, lots of those. Now, melee afflictions can go ahead and go in here because it will work whenever I do Tennokai. Okay, so I can just hit a couple times with some slash and some normal hits, and then if I Tennokai with it, what will happen is that I will knock them into the air and off they go. I'm just going to show you what it looks like with Epitaph really quickly, which is a primer, and I'm going to go ahead and just hit a couple of enemies. Please do not expect the builds to be absolutely amazing with these ones. I'm just doing physical damage builds, and physical damage builds are not really what we go for, but I just want to go and show you guys what it looks like, so it gives you guys something different to go and play around with, which is what it's all about, right? Let me just go and build up my combo counter really quickly. Right, so I'm on the times 12 combo counter. This is what it's looking like right now. And as you can see, it's nothing overly impressive, but it's still something. So lots of dots there, 3.5 mil on that one. If I do go and get the Tennokai off, they'll have lots of procs. And then if you pair this with a primer, it works even better because I can go ahead and get lots of viral going across on it as well. So I outsource viral away from the weapon onto another weapon to go ahead and bump up the damage a bit more, and then the slash will tick off of that. And if I have a Rhino's Roar, it does even more damage. But that's just your overall kind of just typical slash build, so it is what it is. Lovely stuff. All right, up next we got the Doty builds. Let me go ahead and do this, and if you look at the weapon now, you'll go ahead and see that it does go ahead and change with these spikes on top of the weapon. If you didn't know what it looked like earlier, I'll go and put the slash one on, and as you can see, you see it now, how these like curvy spikes now change over towards these actual spikes on the wheel themselves pointed outwards. So it's a really cool visual design, and I hope that you do consider more things like that in the future. Now, as for Doty's going to be, again, synergizing with the Valence fusion of cold, because we're going to be going critical heavy. Now, this one for me is more about just like raw damage because it's Doty, and Doty basically, this one here, it scales your critical multiplier for every 10% of puncture status that you have on your melee weapon. So it's not just puncture status in general. Keep in mind, if your overall status increases, then puncture increases with it, because your status chances increase, and therefore the percentages of the numbers inside also have to increase. So status chance and puncture, those two things you want to increase to get the more out of melee Doty. However, everything else that's happening in here, so things like cold, impact, and slash, these are actually hurting melee Doty, which is why ideally what you would want to go and do is have a ribbon to basically roll, really specific roll, by the way. If you get it with like plus puncture, plus status chance, minus impact, it would be better than this, and you could chuck it in there. Is what, that's such a specific roll that you're not really going to get it. Let's be 100% honest. Unless someone does go and get it, but it'll be worth quite a fair bit. And again, honestly, it's not really worth it because it's not a tremendous amount of damage you're going to be doing. It's just a bit of a critical one. I'm not even going to really go ahead and hit with it to try and save us some time. It's just a bit of a critical one. So you can consider it if you want to. If you're going for a bit more of a puncture setup, then this kind of synergizes together. But again, I'm going to say it, melee influence. It would just be better for the weapon in terms of longevity. Okay, and then the last one I've also got now is the impact. And we go and look at the thing, the motorbike wheel. We can see it's got like bumps and so forth in the wheel. So the impact build again is now going to be leaning towards, though, if I go for the balance override, there is impact here, which is fantastic. So I do go and get more if I go for the impact thing. But at this point, I don't really need to, and I don't want to. So for this one, I would just go heat, go and add extra damage towards it, just to make sure it's actually doing some extra damage. And as again, it's more of like a raw overall here. I can use exposure. I've actually, look how much that gives me, 990% right now. So it looks cool and it acts cool, but I don't think it is that cool. My advice towards you guys would be to go and take the slash build or to go and take an influence build for now, but the inflictions can also go ahead and go there. Now thankfully there's not much else me is going to say about that weapon. That's basically going to be it right there. I'll go and get some slash gameplay up on the screen, and again I'm going to go and pair it with my Warframe of choice, which is going to be Clavo, where I can go ahead and get a tremendous amount of damage off on the weapon and just kind of rev it up, you know, just go and use the wheel, rev it up, kill some enemies, lovely stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit different outside of the influence, so I'm just trying to help you guys by giving you different build versatility rather than just being a one-trick pony and just saying, hey, melee influence in all builds. So it's going to bring you guys back over here. I've got one last build to go ahead and do, and again, I hope you guys have been enjoying this video so far. We got the Coda Pathocyst. Now this is going to be the counterpart to Pathocyst, so it's going to be an increased version of it. It gives you more damage, it gives you more critical chance, critical multiplier, status chance, and so forth. And the Seeking Miasmites also have a bigger kind of like explosion radius towards them. Now this is going to be a glaive, so therefore we're going to be going with a glaive build, and I'm going to say this one as politely as I can. Number one, I don't typically use glaives, but I am a fairy crafter and I am a build crafter, so I'll still give you a good build. So I am going to also say this as well really quickly. Please run whatever you want to, because there's actually quite a few different mods you can use in here. So if you are a glaive user and you religiously use glaives, you'd be like, why didn't he? You do it, okay? I don't use glaives, all right? I really don't, but I'm going to show you what my glaive does anyways as I go ahead and build towards it. So for this one, what I do want to go and do is just whack at a couple of things. Now, I will go and say the main thing's going to take away here is unfortunately things like condition overload do not scale on the explosion. So when I go and throw it out and I heavy attack to go and like detonate it, this doesn't scale off the explosion, doesn't increase the damage. Therefore, prime pressure point is better if I'm running for a heavy attack build. If you're not running for a heavy attack build and you're just doing like slashes and dashes and all that good stuff, condition overload would actually be better. Now from there onwards, because I'm doing that and because it's going to be quite an elemental type build is what I'm going for, I'm going to be running my dots and procs, my double dip-ins, as you've heard throughout the entire video. I hopefully don't need to reiterate why. Then I'm going to be taking volatile quick return because I want to go take it for that extra blast radius, hitting more enemies and increasing that range, which is also going to be really nice. I'm going to be using power throw, which is multiplicative damage towards the pressure point as well. So, but this requires me to kind of keep comboing. So every time I throw the weapon out, I want to hold attack again as I'm detonating it. And then when it comes back to me, I do like a different combo, a different throw each time. Galvanized reflex is going to go and scale up, and that's also going to go increase the overall damage that I'm doing with the detonate there. Weapon wounds is going to increase the overall status because we're going status heavy, and then I'm going to end mine in heat with again also ending my phalanx in heat as well. So yes, can you go melee influence here? You think, yeah, you know the answer. So exposure is what I'm going to be leaning on for this one because I'm just looking for extra damage, and I'm going to go and show you what this looks like really quickly as I go ahead and utilize the Pathocyst weapon. So if I go ahead and just throw it over there, hopefully, there you go. So that's what the miasmites look like, and they're going to go and jump on and latch onto someone, and it's going to go take the elements that I've got over there. So in this case, it's going to be straight viral, and it's going to go ahead and just hit them with a viral. Now, there's just a chance of these little fellas to go ahead and spawn. Excuse me, I coughed there. To go ahead and keep that in mind, just a little chance for them to go and spawn, but this is how my build kind of looks. So I'm going to go and detonate, and I'm going to hold it, and you see I'm doing different attacks each time as it's coming back towards me. And then once the heat and everything starts getting built up, I'm just going to start absolutely killing these enemies with big heat procs. If I go and do that, if we can proc a heat proc, if I can proc a heat proc, look at the heat proc there. That's 102,000, 158,000, 130,000. And that's only just a one heat proc on top of all of the viral that I've got. So I can go ahead and build all of that up, and it synergizes quite nicely with the build that I'm currently running. But again, glaives are not my speciality. I just have a rough idea about glaives. I do try and dive into them, so take whatever you want to. Now up on screen is a glaive that I can go and use here. I don't really know who to go and use, so I'm going to go and show you guys Clavo. But I've also been told from some glaive enthusiasts that things like Sapphire can also be really cool because of our passive. You just jump airborne a little bit. and you can go and get more of her passive as well. So you can also go and use Sephiroth as well. But Colovo just works really, really nicely here. I can just delete enemies and use Raffle Advance and lovely stuff, all right? But yeah, nothing too special to go and talk about there. It just adds a little bit of critical towards it. Again, you don't have to go and take that. You could go and take someone like Saren if you really wanted to, but I just think it looks a little bit nicer with Colovo, even though I'm not going for like a critical heavy build. All of the statuses is going to take over, which is giving me a bit of a hybrid build. Anyways, I'm going to go bring you guys back here. That is going to be it for today's video. Oh my God, that was a long one. Now, I say politely, and in my heart of hearts, one take right now. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. So please, reminder, if you did hit the like button, I apologize, the video is so long. I've almost lost my voice saying this video right now. So if you did, if you think someone else out there will go and share it, if you think someone else out there would go and enjoy it, please go and share the video with them. And if you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. But I hope you guys are enjoying the weapons. Which weapons are you guys enjoying the most? And which weapon has interested you from the video? But anyways, that's gonna be it from me today. I hope you guys had a good, lovely time. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye, bye-bye.